Are running scared right now. While you were busy enjoying your weekend, and I certainly hope you were, stuff is hitting the fan in the United States banking system right now. They are trying to keep it quiet to protect themselves, not to protect you. I repeat, they are trying to keep this hidden from you to protect themselves, not you. And it's going to be a bloodbath if you're not prepared. So we'll get into all of these details in a second, but first, here's some context. How many of you remember last year, it's like an anniversary right now, when Silicon Valley Bank suddenly collapsed?
A rough week for the banking industry.
The collapse of Silicon Valley Bank.
The second biggest bank collapse in U.S. history.
Treasury didn't know what to do about it. They couldn't agree on how to handle it. They flip-flopped on their position. Here was my report from 11 months ago. Here you can tell I hadn't slept much. I was watching all of this crap hit the fan. I mean, look at my beard, for crying out loud. It is bad. So this morning, we had Janet Yellen, the Treasury Secretary, come out and say one thing, and then a few hours later, sources saying now that the Treasury is going back on that and going to say something completely opposite. You know that's bad news. Within the same few hours, there's a major pivot on monetary policy. So can Treasury handle it when it's a seemingly isolated incident? Perhaps. The mainstream media wants you to believe that this was an isolated incident. Here was CNBC this week saying, well, it seems that all Silicon Valley Bank fallout was just an isolated incident, nothing to worry about.
It was more of a one-off than it wasn't it, Leslie?
Yeah, it's kind of remarkable, Joe. I think we could probably say that, although, of course, we're seeing cracks form once again a year later.
You can't make this up. Hours after that CNBC report hit, New York Community Bank, on the verge of collapse, announced it's receiving bailout money to stay afloat. Bailout money? I thought we were done with bailouts. Oh, but no, we aren't.
Struggling regional lender New York Community Bank is receiving a billion-dollar lifeline from several groups, including one involving former Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin.
So, isolated incidents? Nothing to see here? Do they think you're stupid? It wasn't isolated at all to Silicon Valley Bank. Signature Bank collapsed then in March of 2023, and then First Republic collapsed in May of 2023. And now this. Gerald Celente, who founded the Trends Journal, has been forecasting the collapse of these banks over the past year, and he says we are being played like fools.
It's already happening with the New York bank over here. They're going to make up something. They're going to make up something. And again, they say that they're covered for $250,000. You're not going to be covered for anything. This thing is going to go down big. There's no stopping it.
So New York Bank is one thing, but again, what happens when they all start failing? Sounds crazy, right? All the info you need, though, to see it is right in front of us right now.
The banks are going to go bust. They're going to call like a bank holiday or something. You're not going to be able to get your money out, and they'll come out with something new, a digital currency, because they're going to go from dirty cash to digital trash.
Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen warned the Senate Banking Committee 3 weeks ago that this was coming. Asked about all of these commercial mortgages that were about to come due, will we see bank collapses, she was asked?
So there is concern that in stressful market conditions, we could see the failure of one of these. And as you said, this has become very, very significant.
So Yellen says, quote, I hope and believe that this will not end up being a systemic risk to the banking system, end quote, at this meeting in February. So she hopes? Hoping is a good strategy, right? Yes, banking collapses are coming. And now the latest bombshell from the Fed this week. Jerome Powell admitting the terrible truth in front of Congress. Bank failures are coming, and he is preparing you.
This is a problem that we'll be working on for years more, I'm sure. There will be bank failures, but this is not the big banks. If you look at the very big banks, it's not a first-order issue for any of the very large banks. It's more, smaller and medium-sized banks that have these issues.
Guys, they are telling us this through clenched teeth. What is coming? Powell indicated that the risk is tied to small and mid-sized banks, and there's no systemic risk to the banking sector posed by the potential collapse of major institutions, he said. Okay. So all of your small banks in your small towns are finished. Get your money out now, is what he's saying. They want this to happen. They don't want small banks. They want Wells Fargo, Bank of America, and Chase Bank controlling everything. We've been warning for a year that this was coming.
Isaiah 31:1. Woe to them that go down to Egypt for help, and stay on horses and trust in chariots because there are many, and in horsemen because they are very strong, but they look not unto the Holy One of Israel, neither seek the Lord. Call Allah Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushua, Ba'ashem Chakadash, the honors to the apostles, elders, GMS, Ruwal, salutate you, Akim out there, pushing this word, truth, and sincerity, risking freedom in your life to do so. More so now than ever before, because we are close to the end of this world as we know it. I played a little video about the whole banking system because whether you know it or not, a lot of prophecy has a lot to do with the financial market, the financial system, especially the financial system of America, because it's like just checking the time, because America is so-called Babylon the Great, which a lot of these nations rely on is dollar dominance. So whatever's happening to the market in America affects the world. It shapes the flow of the world and what's to happen. So, and this is very important because, as you see, man, the people at the top want to control and crash the dollar, crash the system. And the reason why I read Isaiah 31:1 is because a lot of our people, and this is who I concerned about, this is who I really care about, our people, Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, rely on the dominance of America and believe that because America is dominant, that it's always going to be dominant, which is a lie. It's the furthest thing from the truth. All right? Hence, scriptures say, woe to them that go down to Egypt for help. You know, you go to America for all your help and necessities and needs, thinking that they're always going to help you. Right now, they're cutting budgets. They're cutting funds for aid to a lot of Americans, especially a lot of you single mothers that get them government benefits, them subsidies, about to lose it. Section 8 housing, WIC, all right? Unemployment, a lot of unemployment, Social Security checks. Y'all go down to Egypt for help. Y'all retired thinking that the government is going to pay all your bills. That could be that's the furthest thing from the truth. All right? America's declining society. Bankrupt on all levels, morally, spiritually, and just filled with violence. And we're starting to see this starting to see the results of it. But ultimately, they want to implement the MOTB. All right? They want to implement the MOTB. We know we sound like a broken record. Elders been pushing it for decades, couple decades. Younger brothers come in, they've been pushing it for years. But it's about to really come ahead. Revelations 13, verse 16, and he calls it all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their forehead, because ultimately their whole thing is to put that MOTB in you, right hand or your forehead. Complete and utter control. That's the ultimate goal of Esau Edom. Complete control. And they're going to attempt. So that's why we got to pay attention to the market, the stock market and stuff like that. Really get into it, because once we see these things happening, Bitcoin is up, which is a clear sign that they're running that crypto space up because they don't trust in the banks anymore. Most people are taking out their money out of the banks and putting it into like assured things like gold, silver, currencies, because when the stock market collapses, this is what they want next, complete control. And this is verse 17, and that no man might buy or sell save he that had the mark or the name of the beast or the number of the name. Right? So you ain't going to be able to do nothing in society unless you have this thing. And that's the whole point of what Esau wants to do. So I keep it short, man. That's it. With that, I want to say all praise Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushua, Ba'ashem Chakadash, the Mohans to the apostles, elders, GMS, Ruwal, salutate you, Agim out there. Let's push.